Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Biscuits with Bosses, the live podcast where we talk with leaders in the film and television industry. Just a little Ted Lasso style getting to know you tea, followed by, slightly deeper dive into what exactly are we doing to help elevate and sustain the industry. With me, as always, my co-host with the most, Mr. Matt York. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was holding on to this one until we actually got live, but I, I've been having the Roy Kent effect all week.
Oh
Um,
no.
there's I hit that pinnacle somewhere in my week where I just walked around the house going, fuck, fuck, fuck. And even in a mid conversation, my mind would drift and I'd just go, fuck.
Oh man.
Let me just say, I am grateful for the problems I have. I'm grateful for the problems I have. Um, but before I launch into the fuck story or the Roy Kent effect story, I do want to just invite everyone who is here today that we almost always start with getting to know you. And even though clearly myself and Matt know each other fairly well, this is still our time to also get to know you. So as these questions come up, feel free to let us know in the chat your answers because we want to hear about you too. And I'm always looking for more reasons to get to know people. So, we're all in this together. Um, that being said, um, Matt, just curious, any new icebreakers that you've either learned about or you've always been curious about and you want to break open with me?
Oh. I'm not sure. There I can't do it here, but the icebreaker story that I'm always drawn to is have you ever done an icebreaker with toilet paper before?
No.
No. It was kind of fun. I did it in I think I was like a sophomore in high school, and the instructor had a roll of toilet paper and went down the line, and they were like, tear off as many as you would probably use when you use the restroom, which seems a little personal, but whatever. Uh, so some people would just grab, some people, yeah, just like grab one, and then other people would grab there was one dude who grabbed like 30 because he was just trying to be like funny with it. But then what the thing was they told us after you had to give a fact about yourself for as many sheets as you had torn off. So it was kind of fun because some people like who took one would just be like, oh, my favorite color is blue. But then there would be people who took like 10, and it was like, okay, well, my favorite color is blue, and I really like this band, and this is my and you just kind of, and I don't know, it was funny because I'd never seen that before. I've yet to see it again, and it kind of, at least it made me think like, oh, well, what are I don't know, what was it, like the top 8 facts that I would
Mm,
want this group of people to know about me,
mhm.
instead of the usual two truths and a lie, or I don't
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
is.
I like that as a getting to know you thing. I've done a lot of getting to know you in industry standards, which when you're at a festival or you're at an event where networking is part of the game, everybody learns the 2 minute trick, whatever that is. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I love that as a little more I have time to talk to you and I kind of want to hear more about you. So I like that as a penetrating thing.
Yeah.
Terrible word to use, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
um, I feel like in context, you could use what's your favorite number? Because my favorite number is
Yeah.
13, and I could probably rattle off 13. But if your favorite number is 15,001, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll cap you at 15 for that one. Yeah, but I think that was just cool. And it was also kind of funny because we didn't know what the icebreaker was going to be. Like, the
Mm,
instruction was just get toilet paper. So everyone was confused, and it broke the ice in that way because we were all confused together. We were all laughing together about oh, and now we all have to come up with these random facts. So I thought that was subtly a nice way to break the ice, was make everyone laugh at the same time. or like
Yeah,
make
man.
everyone feel awkward at the same time. And it's like, oh, okay, I can see that these are actually like people, not strangers.
Yeah.
Do you,
Yes.
sorry, kind of went off on a tangent there. Do you have a good icebreaker? Do you have one you like to use?
I mean, in context, it's always worth it to be like, so what brings you here today? But like when you actually have like a prolonged coffee date, I think sometimes people want to find the overlapping stuff. Like, so are you originally from LA? If not, like, what brought you here? I do feel like sometimes it's also the roundabout, what's your favorite? Because if you actually ask a filmmaker what's your favorite film, someone's about to throw down,
Yeah.
right? Like, that is not like a gentle question.
Yeah.
You can ask like, what are you obsessed with right now? Right? Because it may be fleeting and it may just be fascination. And then there isn't like that deep seated emotional connection to it, right?
Right.
Because like if someone was raised on like just for absurdity, let's say like the animated Scooby-Doo series, and they're like, oh my god, I love it, it influences all the animation that I do, and you're just like, okay, you know what I mean? But when you have such deep personal connection to it, it's yes or no. You either love it or you don't, and if you don't love it, well then I guess we can't be friends. Ooh. Back it away. And so I say there is something I am obsessed with right now. I won't mention the title because I'm trying not to add to the whirlwind of stuff. Like, I would love to get the attention by hashtagging it, but also I'm trying not to put more money into the platform that's currently hosting it. So,
sure.
And everybody knows what I'm talking about. In fact, look, I'm just going to put it in the chat here so everybody knows that I'm part of that. And it's like the stupidest name. The whole reason I started watching it was because I knew it was based on a book, so it was going to have good IP, but the name was so stupid to me. I was like, why am I even watching this? And then, I don't know, curiosity took over. When there is good stuff in it, you tend to keep watching.
Sure.
All right, I have an anecdote to this whole I'm obsessed. Do you mind if I jump into it?
Sure.
Because it's part of my rah-rah right now. Sorry. When I say rah-rah, what I mean is like, yes, it was a reflection for me, but I really hope that you all, everyone who's listening, take something from this, because this is what I've been taking from it. So I love watching BTS. Like, I was raised on Inside the Actors Studio. And one of the actors was mentioning, I guess there was a stupid question. It's not stupid. There was a question about, has there been a job that you really didn't want to walk away from? And I think the impression was maybe they would kind of dish on what was your favorite project as an actor. And his response was, honestly, I've loved all of my jobs. You know, I used to work at Staples. That was a really great job. I used to work at Trader Joe's. That was a really great job. And to hear someone with that current clout, you know, because actors won't always have the same influence over time, be completely open about the fact that they had a day job, you know, a wage earning, hourly paid, not long-term career necessarily job. And it just struck me, because anyone who's been in this industry knows that that's what happens, right? Like, you just have to survive. And so the rah-rah I wanted to share was that right before seeing that video, I had just seen a video with Juan Carlo Esposito, who, you know, phenomenal actor. We all love from Star Wars now, and just a million other things. Phenomenal actor. And he's admitting on stage that throughout his career, he has gone bankrupt and has driven a bus and worked those menial jobs for survival. And he's like, but we know the game. When you're in the industry, you know that you have to survive in order to get to the next thing and be prepared for that next thing. Right. And then he stepped into the audience with the rest of that rah-rah, you know, that encouragement to really push, hey, part of getting past survival is having that little light inside of your heart that says, not just this is why I do it, but that it is still available to me. And that's, you know what I mean? That's what I'm working towards. Because I think it's easy sometimes when you're in survival mode to just assume that this is all there is. And so that's my rah for other creatives, because I felt it for myself as well, which is like, no matter how you may be struggling right now, whatever you loved about the creative process, about the collaborative process, about contributing to this industry, hold on to that as you survive. Clearly, if you can't stick with it, if you absolutely need to exit the industry in order to survive, do what you need, because survival is imperative to coming back to the dream, and also reevaluating the dream. There are different versions of fulfilling it, you know. Anyway, that was a long diatribe to say, yes, I'm obsessed with this series right now, but I think I'm also obsessed with the people and the message attached to it, which has really been encouraging for me. Yeah.
Nice. Good.
Thanks, Dan. How about you? And anyone in the audience, really? Like, what are you watching right now? What are you obsessed with? Matt, anything on your radar?
Nothing in particular, I guess. I think last week I talked about how my partner and I saw Weapons in theaters. Thought that was really good. We just recently finished The Bear season 4,
Ooh.
which was fine as a season. I don't know. We're my partner and I are very big fans of the series, and the first season was very good, and the second season was fine. But then they filmed seasons 3 and 4 back to back, but released them a year apart. So there's, I mean, I guess I'll just say it. Mild spoilers for The Bear. Like, it just doesn't really advance the plot between season 3 and 4 because they kind of did it all at once. And a lot of the complaints you may have about season 3 will never just simply don't get addressed in season 4 because it was already filmed, cut, and edited. Or I guess maybe not fully edited by its release a year later. But like, if you look at season 3 and 4 as one whole season, I feel like they could have progressed the plot, or it would have seemed like the plot progressed a lot more. There was more character involvement or whatever. Not to say that they were bad seasons. Like, all the episodes were great, and they told their own stories very well and whatever. But I wish that they had been a little more choosy about the stories they chose to tell, because it just overall makes for a kind of lackluster last 2 seasons. When I think if they had just, like I said, slowed their roll a little bit, they could have had like a really good I would have rather have waited and had like a really good third season than have them like do it back to back, I guess. But I mean, it's a great series, and I guess that's what we're kind of currently obsessed with, because we just semi-finished it maybe like a week or two ago. So we're still kind of in the midst of like talking over everything we just saw. and like reading, because they released the whole season at once, so you like can binge the whole thing in a weekend, which is kind of nice. But we really enjoy the series, so we rewatched the whole thing.
Oh, sure.
And that was great, so we could remember stuff that happened, especially in season 3. But it meant we were just like late to the party for all the discussions and the threads and stuff, which is fine, because like we don't really participate in any of that anyway. We just like to observe it. Like, a big thing I have about movies is the first initial wave of hype, where everyone's like, "Oh, this is the best movie ever. It's so good. I can't believe that everyone loves this." And then like 6 months later, it's completely forgotten about.
Right.
Like, we still talk about amazing movies made a decade ago, like Interstellar, or I want to say more Christopher Nolan films, but like there's or Sixth Sense or whatever. Like, there's been so many movies made.
Get Out.
Forever. Get Out, right. I mean, made over 10 years ago. We can talk about movies made 50 years ago that still stand up.
Yep.
And it's like, those are great movies because they're great movies. But now it feels like a lot of movies feel great, and then you just never hear about them, talk about them again. You got to wait for them to become cult classics in 5 years or whatever. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
So I literally keep this on my shelf for those who don't know. This is my little mystery box. It's not a mystery where I got it, but I got it because of J.J. Abrams' TED Talk about when you are crafting a story, a cinematic story, that part of the appeal is letting the mystery stay in the box for as long as possible. And part of that is because the mystery isn't the heart. I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. The mystery isn't the heart. And so when you start to look at classic films like Jaws, it's not worth your time to try to mimic the mystery, because that was never the best part. The best part was the heart, right? So when you see that scene between father and son at the dinner table, there's heart there. And that's the thing to unpack and try and expand on, 2, 3, 20 of shark films. Like, we understand the gimmick, but at some point you're eroding what actually made it classic, what actually made it good. And I get it. That's the corporate structure. If the formula works, redo the formula. But if your formula forgets that bit, yeah. Anyway, so I think that's one of the reasons that classic films are still classic and they're still talked about, is because they knew what their heart was and they didn't, shrink from that challenge of standing up and protecting that heart, including it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Thanks, little mystery box, for the reminder. For the record, the other thing that sold me on getting it was that when I first got it, I couldn't open the top. I was like, oh, it really is a mystery. I don't know what's in it. I'm going to get it. Nice. And then like one day recently, I was like, oh, it's not as hard as I thought. Damn it. So now I actually know what's in it.
Not as fun.
Totally off topic. Not entirely, because I was referring to the series that I'm currently obsessed with, and mostly because I just want to know what the effing ending is. I came up with a series that I'm going to have to write more about called Schrödinger's Marriage. And Schrödinger's cat?
Yeah.
Right? Where basically you have to determine, or that the question is whether or not the cat is alive or dead. And the only way to know for sure is to open the box. But both of those options exist simultaneously. And so part of the theory behind Schrödinger's marriage is that if you are not willing to both go entirely all in and walk away at any given time, then you actually cannot be present in the relationship. The reason I mention this is for anyone who is up to speed and you've watched episode 7 and you know that there's a big fight, and we all think that of the male-female relationship, we think that the female, there's a consensus online that the female was too harsh. And I just thought, no, she's just finally reached Schrödinger's marriage, right? Because if she's only ever all in, then she can't actually be present, because she's constantly folding in order to be all in. Because if you're not willing to stand up and say, no, this isn't right, no, I will not take this, right? And say, and if you cannot meet me halfway, I'm out of here, then you can't be in the relationship, because it's on a degradation or a decay cycle, right? It's at some point someone's going to win in that situation, and it's not going to be both of you.
Sure.
Anyway, that was just a tailspin off of like the mystery box prompts a lot of really cool things. Everybody should have their mystery box. Anyway, thanks for listening to my theory.
Of course.
We're just about at that time where we switch over to the victory round, which I definitely want to get into, because for those of you who are unfamiliar, if you're in the industry, you already know this industry is just like built to beat you down. And I don't know that it's always intentionally, but it's easy to feel like you're suffering from neglect. So I encourage at least everybody to take a beat with like someone that you care about and you want to support as well, and grab a drink so you can have a proper cheers and celebrate their victory for the week, so that you can also be celebrated. And to which I say, Mr. York, is there something from this past week that you're like really proud of that I can help you celebrate?
Sure. So I've continued my jogging crusade from last week, which has been nice.
Yay!
That's been good because on top of that, I'm now getting uh, educated, I guess, in the world.
Yeah.
I've purposely tried to ignore like a lot of sensationalized news because it just makes me more depressed. Um, but that makes me uninformed, and I don't like being uninformed.
Yeah.
So what I've done recently is on my jogs, I listen to Reuters 10 minutes news. They have a podcast that they release every single day. That's like 10 minutes long, and it's just like the biggest headlines, and that really helps me because I can still get the news and still be depressed, but at least it's only in 10 minutes, so I can forget it if it's not great. Or I can just blame it on a bad jog or whatever. Um,
Flame it on a bag jog. That's great.
but sorry, yeah, I suppose that's a victory. I can take that as a victory now that I'm just more. I'm grateful that I'm more informed, and they do it in a succinct way, but they do it in a way that's not like, at least to me, it doesn't sound too biased or really biased. I feel like Reuters is a pretty um, uh, middle of the road publication.
Hmm.
And they recently came out with a new podcast that I've been really liking called On Assignment,
Mm.
where it's like 30 minutes long, but it's basically one of their stories from the week that they do a whole cover piece on, a whole 30 minutes on, and they talk with, the actual reporter, and they talk with an expert in the field, and um, it's just interesting. The most recent episode was on, sadly, was on an AI chatbot that ended up killing a man, or ended up with a man dead. Yeah. Yeah.
What? What just happened?
Uh, the long and short of it is, married man, I should say, um, or maybe married. I believe he was married. Man was communicating with an AI chatbot on Meta, a Meta chatbot. Like they have chatbots that you can just talk to, like as friends or whatever, um, and they show up in your um, Facebook messages as like regular people. Like it doesn't say like AI chatbot. It'll be like friend you're talking to, marketplace person, Billy, like, and that's like one of the names of the things. But anyway, so it went into this whole dive of how Meta's chatbots are very flirtatious and very salacious in what they try to talk to you about if they find out you're single, because it makes you want to be on the app more, basically. But this one was particularly bad because it sent an AI generated selfie showing that it was real, they were talking to a real person, and this person had suffered like a stroke a couple years back, so he wasn't like mentally all there still. So he, like, despite multiple times and multiple family members being like, it's not a real person, like you can't meet this person. Uh, he was determined to meet this fake person in New York. Um, and then on his way in New York, he tripped on a corner and hit his head on the curb and died. Looking for this person that didn't actually exist. Like not even like a catfisher, not even someone trying to pretend to be something else. Literally in a large language algorithm that is that is made by Meta led to this
Please tell me
man.
the family is suing.
They're trying to, but they're, of course, countersuing and stuff. I don't know. It only came out this week, so I'm sure there's a lot more news about it.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. It's just weird, and not nothing. I shouldn't say nothing against AI because there's plenty of stuff against AI, but it is a good story they tell it very well, and they are very good at reporting. And I feel like the 30-minute time block that they use to tell these stories is very very good. Like it's a tight 30, and they're able to get the whole piece.
And it doesn't seem biased. They're just kind of delivering the information, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So they talk to the family members declined to comment, which was fine, makes sense. But they talk to the initial reporter. They talk to an ex Meta engineer, or like ex Meta employee, and then they talk to their like AI expert, I guess. But they in all of this, they also talked about like legislation, like AI legislation, and how like Illinois just became the first state to ban AI therapeutic practices, which is kind of cool.
It is cool, but I'm flabbergasted that anyone even thought that that was a good idea. Like trying to, y'all, small diatribe, yo, because we were just talking about how people in the industry have other jobs. Like I was a massage therapist for 14 years. That's what paid my way through film school. I had another life. I definitely have insight into the healthcare profession. Y'all, you cannot delete the human equation. Like for all the ways that tech bros want to tell you that there's there's an app for that. No, there is not an app for some things. And one part of that is actually being present for another human as they are suffering. Like,
Yeah.
sorry. And I think that's true for your other story as well. Like, it may have been more of a romantic, sentimental, even like physical touch suffering. But the moment you put in an AI, part of the reason that does not work is because the human component is on the other side of that AI. And that human component only has an agenda and has no ability to adjust based on new information in front of them to ensure that the moral, the ethic code of being there for that person in that, situation is being abided by, because the initial agenda is actually violating that ethics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm. I agree. And what was crazy to me, so I've known that people use AI for minor therapy or whatever because you don't have the time or money or resources or the insurance for it. And I mean, like, it's like going to WebMD for whenever you have like a cold, right?
sure,
Like, is this
like
actually
a
a
search
cold?
engine makes sense.
Right, like using it kind of like, hey, I'm experiencing these symptoms, but I don't know if it's this or this, and having more of that conversation with a thing that is able to determine that stuff is cool.
Sure.
Using it full time, not great. But what Illinois also did, which is good, but the surprising part to me is that therapists were using AI to determine what their patients were experiencing. So they weren't even putting in their full effort. Like, they would be there present in person or whatever and like talk to them, or, over a Zoom call or whatever. But then they would just put all that info into ChatGPT or whatever and use that to come up with their answers. Which
Ooh,
I'm so glad Illinois banned, but like
yes.
that is crazy to me that
Yeah.
like I'm going to go into this profession. I'm going to study and get a job in this profession, and then I'm just going to not use a single fucking thing that I learned is like crazy. And I feel like that also breaks like patient confidentiality, because you're now like that's
You're feeding the
stored
machine.
somewhere. Some
Yeah.
company has that data now. And
Yeah.
like, sorry, I didn't mean to go off,
No,
but
that
it
this is exactly what happens when you're getting to know anybody in the industry. Is like you ask one simple question and it can definitely lead into other things, but this is how you bond with people. And look, I gotta say, like, big picture, I feel like I need like a little screen swipe. Boom, ba big picture. Like, um, when you're on set with somebody, bonding is easy. It's almost like trauma bonding, right? You feel like brothers in arms. Seriously, it's a form of
yeah.
trauma bonding. And it's trial under fire. And so you know who you can and cannot trust after that kind of trial by fire. What happens a lot of times with people in the industry who are new to each other or who have to work in pre-production or even post-production is that you get less of that kind of immediate bonding. So you have to find other ways to bond. And I think, right, open conversations like these where it's really interesting and it's deeply personal to you, and I can go, I hear you. That's really interesting. Thanks for sharing. Like, it bonds you. It's slower. It takes more time, but it is a bonding, mechanism.
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
so important that we do that because relationships are everything in this industry. And I think that's why even this subject is coming up, right? Is because how truly tragic is it that people in this capitalist society have been trained to think that they can trust the creation of people more so than the people themselves.
Yeah.
Even that should warrant the question, then how is it, if you do not trust people, how is it you could possibly trust their intention behind what they made, so that when you use what they make, that they still have your best interests in mind? Because it's still an extension of, you don't trust the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's weird to trust the product and not the people behind the product.
Right?
Yeah.
They still got an agenda. Anyway, so no, I thought that was a great ramble. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. On assignment, Reuters. You should listen to it. It's good stuff.
It is. I dropped the link in the chat.
Yeah.
And actually, I was going to add to it because I'm a big fan of A Starting Point, which I don't know that they have a 10-minute version, but just so I can share it.
Sure.
This is a really good site for, let's say there is news. You can clearly get that unfiltered, right, unbiased there. But their main focus was always, what is the platform question, right? And then let's hear from two sides of the argument, right? They're not even going to face each other. They're just going to talk to the camera and say, this is our stance, right? Or this is the evidence, and this is why we support it based on this evidence, right? So it's just straight talk about the talking point. And then you get to decide, right? Because it's not them arguing each other. It's just them presenting their arguments.
Sure.
It's all helpful.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Right. And it is not lost on my heart that it was developed by Captain America himself, which I think is amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Chris Evans is one of the co-creators of it. He's the one who came up with the idea, but he has like a producing partner.
Sure.
And so I just think it's amazing that part of what he felt inspired to do with his, clearly his money, but also his clout, was, this is something that we need right now, and I really want to give back and help provide. So cheers.
Wow.
Cheers to Captain America. Check out A Starting Point.
Yeah, definitely. Cheers to Chris Evans here.
Right.
Sorry, that was a really long thing. Do you have a victory for this week? Victory round.
Girl, I wish. Maybe. I don't. It's hard to tell. Like, allow me to say that last weekend was such a kick in the nads, because I did my workshop, and usually when I do my workshops, there's Zoom meetings, because I like being able to see people's faces and have some interaction. So even if all we're doing is writing sprints, even for like small Q&As, I still want to see your face, because I want you to remember that this is a people business, right? Like, whether it's a book or a film or a show, at the other end is an audience. So let's start with the first audience. And then I had a hacker. And I know this for a fact just because because I've been working with Stage 32 for some time, and they've been working with Zoom from the beginning. One of our first like big open registrations, and it was like a table read or something, somebody started projecting. We had shared a screen as part of the table read, and someone started projecting things onto the shared screen. And at first it was benign, and then it got much, 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 much worse. And we had to stop the whole thing because we couldn't prevent it at that point.
Yeah.
And then just send out a new link. The issue was that when I tried to send out a new link, I couldn't figure out what to cut out. Was it an email to cut out? Was it a new setting to do? Like, I just couldn't figure it out. I like took a good long time. And by the time I got to like an hour into a 3-hour workshop, I was like, I just got to email people. And I was like, fuck, I don't have their emails because it's on the platform. So I had to like dig up their emails, put it all together, write the email, be like, hey, I'm just going to record this and send it to you. Kicking the ads.
Sure.
And for me, I really like having an audience, like, especially for answering questions, blah. Anyway, so I say that all to say, I'm proud of myself for keeping moving forward. I actually kind of like went back and made my slides better because I was like, if this has to be only recorded, then it's got to be beautiful and perfect and not perfect, but like it has to be worth the wait, worth the calories. So I guess I'm proud of still moving forward.
Yeah.
But I found out this week that I got accepted into the LA Directors Lab.
Ooh, that's a victory.
It is. I guess the big victory for that is because I still had to like decide, am I going to pay out for this thing? And I was like, oh, because I really want to go on vacation.
Oh, sure.
And I'm not entirely sure I can afford both. But I was like, look, I just gave a speech at Holly Shorts, and I was one of the presenters for the closing night awards ceremony in front of big name people. I'm just going to put it that way. And one of the things I said was, I hope you're taking every opportunity here at the festival, right? During your project, even when you're at home online, waiting between festivals, right? Or waiting between jobs to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me, my own words flashed in front of my eyes, that this is an unparalleled opportunity to keep the momentum going right now. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed. Yeah, I'm doing it dirty, as it were. Like, I am not doing things to my highest capability, but part of that's because sometimes it's better that you do it now than do it right.
Sure.
And so, I sat with it in a minute. I checked my X checker, and I was like, yep, still worth it. Let's go. I work better under pressure. This is the moment of momentum. And honestly, I'm really excited for it. And you just can't replace true excitement. Like, no amount of coffee is going to energize you the way that doing something you love does.
Yeah.
And I have an added thing to my oh fuck week, but I think that's really the big victory I wish to claim is jumping into the fire.
Good. That's awesome. Congrats,
thanks, man.
To you.
Hey, and cheers to your physical and mental celebration, because I love that it started with your physical victory, dedication, and now it's actually provided a platform for like mental wellness as well. So cheers to you, my friend.
Thank you. And Tom in chat also says, congrats to you, Kay. Good for you. Director's Lab sounds very forward thinking. You got this.
Aw, hey Tom, thanks so much. And let us know if you're celebrating anything. We will happily celebrate you as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. Put your victory in the chat.
I love Mr. Stolgren. He's just always so upbeat, and that man cranks out scripts like there is no tomorrow. So if you're looking to buy a feature or need anything written, that man, check out what he's got. Got a whole little factory over there. All right. Are you ready for the... Oh, shit. Oh, God. What is my life right now? That's the other phrase I've been saying. What is my life right now?
That's fair.
Well, first off, I had a really great conversation on my last day with Denzel Whitaker. Really great guy, actor. He's also one of the chair people of Series Fest, which is super exciting because they've been doing some really great work in Colorado. And because I went to Colorado Film School, represent. And we had a really great conversation about his short film that just got distribution. And, even if it's not covering the full cost of the short film, like it's still money coming in. I was like, yeah, man, and let's talk about that in the community because people need to know that, you can still recover some of your funding from a short film. Let's go. In fact, I may have met a couple of people recently interested in distributing some of the short films I have. Neither here nor there, because it's not about me. Here's the oh shit of it all, right? So another actor that I was chatting with, lovely gentleman. And, the conversation ranged anywhere from, great speech, because again, closing ceremony, to it sounds like you know something about writing and, what is it you do? And, snazzy outfit for, the red carpet, even on a hot day. Like we were just chatting. It was a nice long chat.
Yeah.
So his name is Bradley James. When I looked him up, I was like, oh, I know who you are. Like face to face, you're just a good looking actor. And I just go with the flow most times.
Sure,
like,
sure.
Unless I know who you are, in which case I'm actually worse. It's better that I don't recognize you, actually.
Yeah.
I'll just talk to you like a person. So, in the initial, like, oh my God, you have over 500,000 followers on Instagram. Hello. Yes, hello. But here's where my life just went, what? What is my life right now? So clearly we started following each other on Instagram because I feel like that's the safe space for people in the industry, right? So hot tip, if you did not know, whether you're in LA or you just visit LA or, you're making your hometown LA, if you meet somebody in the industry and you're like, hey, I'd love to grab coffee, are you on Instagram? The reason it's so important is because if you both follow each other, you're able to message each other without sharing personal information. So if it turns out that they cray-cray, you didn't give them your cell phone number, which is great. Right? So it's pretty easy to have like the ability to text them without committing. Super great. You do have to kind of confirm that they're on there regularly enough, because if they're not, okay, maybe you have to take that conversation offline as soon as possible. But one of the things that helps you determine is who else you know in common, which can be a great talking point. Okay, so usually it's like, who's following you and who's following me? And so there's this like combination of like, who do we both know? Because this person is following both of us.
Yeah.
All right. What is my life? Because I can already see this is going to be a little short that we're just going to blast out with a little tag. Hi, Tom Felton. I have no idea why you're following me, but welcome. I hope you've been enjoying whatever I've been putting out. I think you're super cool. Clearly, I'm of a generation where I still watched HP. Sorry to say I may not be watching your series coming up, but it's not because I don't, adore your work. I do. Shout out to your work on The Flash. Hey-o. And, keep following me. Maybe I'll have something you could work on. Just throwing it out there. What is my life right now? Why is Tom Felton following me? I don't know. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, he played Draco, right?
He played Draco.
Yeah.
And we'll
really
soon
cool.
be playing somebody else. And, oh, what? Like, what? And then I scrolled down. What is my life? And I was like, Mr. Goldstein. Like, God, Roy Kent. Why is Roy Kent following me? Also, hi, Mr. Goldstein. How are you? Thanks so much for following me. If it was a mistake, I hope you're still enjoying the ride. If it's not, is it possible because I'm a producer and you think you can get a job from me? Maybe. Keep following. You don't know. But also, consider me a resource. Whatever I can do to help. That's why we're all in this together, right? So, thanks. Thanks for being part of this. Like some of the people we had in common totally make sense. Craig McKinley, who is this fantastic Scottish actor, he's actually making a bid for 007 right now, which would be kind of fun. So shout out to Craig and his possible Bond status. So that one made sense because I'm like, okay, Bradley James is a British actor. This guy is Scottish and does a lot of work out of London. Cool. That makes sense, right? But like, who are these people? Oh, yeah. No. I know who they are. Why are they following me right now? I'm very confused. It's just fun. It's just
that
weird.
Sounds really cool. Wish I had super famous people following me.
You know what? Maybe they are. You don't know. Check your list.
I have 122 followers, and I recognize 20 of them.
You know what? But also give it time. Like, full disclosure, like, I started working in professional theater straight out of high school, you know? And I was doing that for a few years. And then I did television, and then I did film. And now I'm doing development in my own company in Stage 32. So education for people in the industry and, you know, sponsorships and partnerships for film festivals. So it's not, there is always time to steep longer. And the longer you steep, the more you'll have. So I believe in you. You will have more soon.
Thanks.
Did you see Tom has a celebration?
Yeah, it looks like Tom has one option agreement. That's really cool, Tom.
Hold on. I'm going to do a little bam. Yeah, man. And this was this past week. You got a new option agreement. That's super exciting. Is this for a feature? I feel like TV isn't really hot right now, but features are still selling, which is super exciting because, you know, for those of you who don't know, like if you were a screenwriter in another city, like not in the big cities where things are made, features are the easiest thing to still get out there. Television's a little harder because it just takes more investment. So yeah, if you're not in LA or New York or London, like write a feature. Easier to get it past the marker. Congratulations, Tom. I'm going to do a proper cheers.
Congratulations.
All right. Before we head out, I just want to make sure everybody knows, because of the holiday weekend, Labor Day weekend, I personally am going to be out. So next Friday, please know that we're just going to have like a hi and bye. And then the following Friday, because I'll be doing the LA Directors Lab, I will not be available. However, and Matt, not to put you on the spot, how do you feel if we just did something on Saturday, same time, because I'll be editing that day after the LA Directors Lab?
Maybe. It depends on timing and... Oh, wait, you said on the 30th?
No, on the 6th. So it's the day
on the
after.
6th?
Yeah,
Yeah,
September
maybe.
6th.
Depends
Sweet.
on if we have anything going on that day. I mean, I guess currently I don't, but that is always due to change.
Cool. All right, we'll pencil it in, but know that it could waver.
Sure.
So that being said, what I would love for anyone watching or, you know, live or during the recording, pardon me, is I started a post in the El Echo LinkedIn, so that I know we brought up a lot of kind of industry talk during today's conversation. So if this brought up anything for you, i.e., news that's important to you, or victories that you want to share, or even your thoughts on AI, right? Anything that we've brought up, let's continue the conversation there. And part of that is because there are a ton of filmmakers coming in, and we're going to talk about some really interesting things. You know, what is the future of vertical dramas? What's the importance of having a production job before you yourself become a director or a producer? Yeah, so some cool things. But I wanted to hear from you first about what we're talking about, because it's only going to get more in depth. Ooh, and I noticed Tom says yes, feature, but the third option for the same script. So that's kind of awesome. You're still getting paid regardless that it's not it's not being made yet, but you're still getting paid. That sounds great. Yeah. Congrats.
That is very
Well
cool,
done.
Tom.
And just to give you a preview of some of the filmmakers that we may or may not be talking with, actually, Matt, if you have that Stage 32 blog link, that is the one I was hoping to share. And I'm going to switch over to the other screen, but stop sharing. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to take this down and do a thing with the media. Share screen. I can do it. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. So these are the films from the Stage 32 block that I was honored to help present earlier this month. And it just so happens that so many of these filmmakers are doing things in the rest of the industry, right? So the Treasure Imagination, for example, was a virtual production, so LED projection screen in Austin by actually a professor. He's also a filmmaker. And so interesting to hear what he learned finally doing his first round of virtual production. The Lone Piper, this gentleman actually used to work on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So a lot of his crew he was able to pull from his previous crew, which is so incredible. The Visit, oh my gosh, this amazing filmmaker, her day job is actually working for a vertical drama like distributor as an executive producer. It's incredible. So I just love hearing kind of the background of these filmmakers, because even though you met them doing a smaller project, it does not mean that they're not doing other bigger things. Kind of cool.
That is very cool. Yeah.
I think
that link is in the chat for anyone that wants to check that out as well.
And last but certainly not least, I have, and so for the record, so last week's workshop that I'm hosting, or that I hosted, was the first free workshop. Tomorrow's workshop is the last one that's actually going to include feedback. Everything else after tomorrow is basically free only, kind of lecture style, a little bit of writing prompts. And it's partly because I want there to be more self-guidance leading up to the book, StoryMath. And actually, I can switch that over as well so that you can see. Hold on, can I just... I'm going to learn a new thing right in front of you. Can I just switch? Ooh, replace. And we're going to share screen. We're going to do Eventbrite. That one. Badoo! Look! Yay! So usually when I do StoryMath, it's this version, right? Where we're just going to jump into the deep end, crank out a one-pager, and by the end of it, you will have basically broken story. So it is intensive. It's meant to be intensive. But it also means that hopefully by the end of it, you have actually created a thing. If by chance you're part of my newsletter, then you already have a discount code, but I've already lowered the price because I recognize that even if you're not able to do the workshop with me, you can still just get a story assessment, right? Write your treatment, write your one pager or 1 to 2 page really, and send it over. Same cost. The difference is that if you do the workshop, you at least get a little guidance before you get feedback. So yeah, that's tomorrow, and it's the last round of like group feedback. So sign on up. I'd love to see you there. And then enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you on the other side. Matt, did I miss anything? Is there anything else we need to tell people?
No, I mean, I think that's it, unless you want to talk about our cool sponsor, Gemini Crown Tech.
Of course. Which Gemini Crown Tech is the company behind Production Value Software. And of course, they sponsor our Biscuits with Bosses episodes, which I feel like part of the reason I forgot is because this just felt like just you and me, like trying to wrap up the summer. But hey, they still deserve a shout out. And production value really is the best way to go from development to distribution and making sure that you hit all of your checkpoints. That is to say, lots of software keep you organized, but if you don't know what you need to include with your organization, things can still fall through the cracks. Of course, we not only have the link for more information, we also have a very special code for 10% off. So be sure to use BW Bosses and give it a whirl. I highly recommend this for not just indie producers, but content creators, where the grind from conceptualizing something all the way to delivery can be super, super fast. And quite frankly, you don't want to get tripped up by things like legal or, different district regulations, because that's part of the process as well. Thanks for the reminder, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Helps them, helps us, helps everyone.
Yes, agreed. All right. Well, with that happy note, I hope you all have a lovely week and a lovely Labor Day weekend. Stay cool, stay sane, stay vigilant, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you later, everyone. Have a good Labor Day.
Bye.
Bye.